Alright, we're here for round 4 at Silverstone. Let me just check everything's all up and good. I think it should be. Yep, sounds good. Welcome to all the drivers and viewers who are tuning in. Make sure to drop a like on the stream and drop a sub as well if you haven't done so already. Obviously, it's good to see the constant feedback we get on these streams. Welcome, Charlotte. I think F1 streams always seem to be really well viewed and really like sort of have a lot of views and comments and stuff, which is always really good to see. I'm just setting up the thumbnail and stuff on the stream. Gotta get it sorted for tier 1 as well, because their stream is live now as well. If that's the one that you're after, then I'm sure you can find it on our page. But yeah, tier 2 is the one that I'm streaming over here. Alright, pretty much ready to go once the stream goes through. I think we've got a full lobby today. Who are we missing? We're missing an Alpine and a McLaren. And I think we're going to be able to get going once those two sort themselves out. We've just had someone change their availability. I'm never a fan of that when that happens. I feel like it still waiting on a couple more guys. Yeah, hopefully that will all get sorted out soon. Cool, it looks like we're going to have 18 guys today. With the Alpine being the only spot that's missing. I think we're all good to go. Anyway, unfortunately, we are missing one of the guys who has been performing pretty well this season, but I think AJ is gonna take over a full-time seat now. Anyway, we're actually getting started. Sorry, I've not really been paying attention. I've been just trying to get these guys set up and sort of message people to see what's going on. In terms of the standings right now, there is quite a big sort of gaggle of cars just like all together in the standings, very tight together. We've got between sort of P4 all the way down to P11 in the standings. There's about a 10-point gap, so it'll be interesting to see. Oh, I'm actually talking in game. I'm gonna leave game before someone gets pissed off at me. There we go. Sorry about that. I just know it's not people's. They're not the biggest fans of that if commentators are talking in the game chat. But yeah, that's all sorted now. So hopefully we shouldn't have any more issues like that. Alright, thumbnails are all on, so I can close down these thingies. I would like to see the standings. So yeah, in terms of the standings, we do have Fontani on top of things in the Ferrari. We've got Lucky High One in the Aston Martin, just a couple points behind him. And then we've got Titchy Boom in P3. In terms of the first guy out, it is Luke Boos, who is actually the only driver to have won every single race that he has raced. I'm not Ross. I don't know why I've got two people calling me Ross. I'm RDO. So, yeah, and I definitely do not sound like Ross, because I'm not a Geordie. So I'm actually offended if people think I sound like him. No offence to him. Actually, some offence. If he is a Geordie. I think he's a Geordie anyway. He sounds like a Geordie. But, yeah, so, sorry, what were we saying? We're saying Fontani leading things. 2 pole positions for the Ferrari driver. So obviously he'll be looking to carry that on. Lucky High One P2, Titchy Boom P3, Luke Boos in P4, and he has won every single race that he's entered. Geordie is someone from Newcastle and surrounding area, but we're going to go on board for Luke for his lap. I think in terms of pole positions, we're looking for like a low 127. These guys in time trial, some of the top guys are doing like mid to low 127s, and apparently qualifying is slightly quicker than the time trial mode just because of the ERS usage that you get. But Luke has actually saved up a lot of his ERS for this lap, which is something I've really noticed that people struggle with, where like they won't save their DRS for their ERS, sorry, for their timed lap, and then they lose so much time on the straights just because they're not using it. But that's going to be an invalidation surely for Luke. It is. So we're going to go on board with, I think it's Swen. No, it's not Swen. It's Swen's teammate. Mighty Chump is going to be the man that we're going to follow. He hasn't invalidated his lap. He's staying in 7th gear. Interesting. Let's see his time over this sector 2 line, because obviously we know that's one thing that we can always see when we go on board with someone. 104.6. Not sure what that's going to be. He's been someone who's struggled for points. He's come P18, P12, P14. So yet to get some points on the board. But let's see if he can do that this time out. Let's see what he can do. I'm probably predicting somewhere in the 29s for Mighty Jump. Could have probably taken a bit more track there. And it is going to be a 29.3 for Mighty Jump. Let's go on board with Halinan, who is one that's always very close. Massacrator already with a 27.7, which is very close to his time trial time. But I would have still thought he can take some more times off that. 2 horses going in P3, P4. Let's go on board with Igor. If I was smart, I would have gone the other way round. Igor's coming across the line for a 129.2. That's not ideal for him. Let's go on board with Chris. Chris is poor lap here, it looks like. Yep. Sven, how are you doing, mate? 103.7. This is a bit quicker. Probably looking around Fontanu's kind of pace right now for Sven. Be interested to see how Luke does when he does get to have his proper run, because I've heard things about his pace here. Apparently it's looking pretty good. Sven, really good lap here, it looks like, up in speed 2. Look at that. This is what we love about this tier, is there's always such close battles between... I don't know why he's done a 1 minute 34 sector 1, but I don't think we need to watch it if he has done a 1 minute 34 sector 1. On board with El Truco, another man who's been struggling a little bit. He got his first points on the board last week with a P10. 104.8 is not the best. We're looking at about P7, P8 there with that one. Yellow flags. It looks like this is a Mercedes or a Ferrari, one of the two, who are bringing out the yellow flags there. Luke is going straight back out, so he's going to go for 3 runs. Obviously, because he invalidated his first run, he's able to squeeze an extra one in. El Truco goes P7 into the points. Go on board with Tichy, who has invalidated. We won't go on board with Tichy, so it's Arctic Squirrel. AJ was going AJ was actually in P4 last week, and then disconnected, and unfortunately, as a result, was dropped all the way down to like P15. Whereas if he would have, if he would have carried on and finished the race, T-Bop up into P4. That's really good to see. T Morrison, I believe he's got a podium this season, right? He did. He got P3 in Brazil. I think he might have been my driver of the day that day as well. It would be cool if someone like kept track of all the people I've given driver of the day. I think I gave it to Luke Boost in round 1, definitely. Round 2, I think it was T Morrison, and round 3 I gave it to Titchy Boom. Anyway, AJ across the line for a 28.9. Pretty decent lap there. I think Luke is probably going to be the one to watch next. Yeah, he is. I know we watched most of his lap before, but we'll watch it properly. I'm stupid. I've been in ALR for 3 years and still mix you guys up. Don't worry. Just don't do it again, Said. And Elmo saying, I love the kick livery. I do as well. Luke's invalidated again. He's going to be able to harvest his way around this time, and to be honest, if I was him, I'd just get a lap on board, you know, like just make sure you get one in. Massacrator at 27.3, that's more kind of the time I was expecting. But we've seen throughout the season so far that Massacrator is showing some phenomenal pace, but just can't seem to convert it in the race. There's just always errors that he makes, and so far his teammate's been the one that's outperformed him. Anyway, on board with Titchy Boom, who is harvesting here. He looks like he might have backed out to me. No, never mind. It's not going to threaten the top of the field anyway, with a 106 at the Sector 2 point. So I think it's time we move on board with someone else. Naked Champ was someone who hasn't set a lap yet. Just to run down the leaderboard though right now, we've got Massacrator P1, who is P14 in the standings. About 40 points off the lead, sorry. Swen the Men up in P6. He's finished on the podium in round 1, and he's up in P2 in qualifying right now. Halinan in P3, who is P5 in the standings. 2 very solid results, but yet to get a podium. This is the thing about this tier, we've got such a big group of guys who can get podiums that you never really know who's going to be week in, week out. So really nice lines here from Naked Champ. This is looking like he'll find his way into the lower half of the top 10 if he can round out this with a good final sector. Very close to going wide. He's just that one to perfection, to be honest. His wheel is literally on the white line. Taking any more of that, any more room on exit there, and he would have invalidated. So yeah, it's literally what you got to do. And he comes off the line with a 28.5. It is P7, 1 second off the top. Okay, so I think it's when it shows like the really high times, it's because they are they've just finished their round lap and it's showing how long it took the round lap. We'll watch Prezemu. He did get pole position in round 1 on his way to P6, and he is the current reigning tier 2 champion, so he's got something on the line. He's gonna have to really improve his season if he wants to retain that crown, but we'll see what he can do here. In the Haas, probably could have taken a little bit more apex, got a little bit close towards the apex, sorry, on that corner. Really nice, using 8th gear in Maggots and Beckett's. We've seen other people stick in 7th all the way through. He does come down to 5th gear for Chapel though, and he's 4/10 up on his time here. That would put him in P2. Looks like Massacrator might have a little bit too much for everyone around here. I know he's been practicing a lot around Silverstone, and actually his closest challenger is a reserve who hasn't been able to get a seat today, unfortunately, as we had a really late dropout for P20 and they obviously had other commitments as a result. But he does come home in P2, a really good final sector, and he's only just missed out on P1, actually, just 1/10 off Massacrator. It looks like the track is starting to warm up a little bit. That's not the line you want to be taking there from Lucky. And we're looking at P6 here. I mean, look at that. That's... what the hell? I don't know why he's not gone around that car, but I also don't know why that car was sleeping on the racing line. Sven the men's invalidated. Prezemu obviously has just finished. Hallinan is... I don't know what he's doing. Bundes is also on an in-lap. Is there anyone on an out-lap that we can watch? It looks like El Truca might be. Eagle's down on his time. 4/10 down. So I think El Truca is going to be the one we're going to need to watch. McLaren still haven't set a time just yet. I think the McLarens are leading the standings as well. They are. McLaren currently leading the constructors, and neither of them has set a lap. I'll be honest, last week at Kota, it seemed like we might have a similar situation with these guys, but they really came through late on and set some good laps in quali and drove fantastic races to get some pretty good points. Truco is 2.5 tenths up here. Doesn't sound like much, but that is literally 4 or 5 positions here based on how good his final sector is. Completely out of battery. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue here because it's all low speed, Vale and Club. Round the final corner, and it was an issue, evidently, as he doesn't manage to make the to improve his time at all, which is a shame. Luke Boos, 3rd time lucky, probably won't get a chance at another run after this one. He has managed to save his battery, and he's also got the 2 McLarens on track behind him, so we can go back and watch those guys afterwards if we can watch Luke's first lap. I've been trying to watch everyone that's up here, and that's a really good sector 1 and 2 time. This might be fighting for pole position here. I tell you what, 127.3 to beat Luke Boos, who has won every race he's attended. His first, well, actually, yeah, round 1 was his first win in absolutely ages. Can he stick it on pole, though? Not the best time around Vale. And he comes home in P6 as a result. Let's see if we can go on board with the lead McLaren. It is Titchy Boom. P10, not bad. Arctic Squirrel coming across for P19, just off Mike Sands. AJ14 up in P9, and someone has just gone and promoted themselves up a little bit. It's Lucky. You know, it's not Lucky. Is it Font? I think it's fun. Who's just come across the line. Who can we watch next? There's a dark blue colour. Is it Mighty Chump on an outlap? No, it's not. It's going to be a Red Bull. Black Charizard. No, Christie? It's Christie on an outlap, never mind. We can watch Black Charizard though. He is 7/10 down though. So I don't think he's going to be doing anything special with this one. We've got, what, the two kick cards who've both just set a lap. Black Charizard who's miles down on his lap. So I think it's going to be Christie who's going to be the one to watch here. Christie been around for absolutely ages in this league. One of the OGs of ALR. I think he joined it around like season 5 or so, and we're now on season 17. As we've actually just hit our 10-year anniversary this month, and Christie 6/10 up in the first sector. That would instantly promote him to around his teammates kind of area. If he can do a really good sector 2, we might be able to see his best qualifying performance of the season. Christie's someone that I had high hopes for this season. In the past, he's done really well in ALR, and I think he might have won a title as well. And if he didn't, I remember there's one sort of season that I vividly remember when he had like a battle with Ankbank, who I think did win the title in the end, and a few of other guys like that. I think Igor might have been part of that season as well, and I think he came top 4, so he's definitely got sort of the experience and knows what it is to be in a championship battle. Let's see if he can improve on his time though. 9/10 up, that would stick him in and around the top 10 if he can have a good final sector, really smooth final sector. That's so much better than some of the other guys we've seen around Vale. And look at that, as a result he puts himself all the way up to P5. He's probably gained half a second there just from being so smooth around Vale. I think it's time to watch Mighty Chump, who is 4 seconds down on his previous time, so he's probably not going to be beating his time. We'll probably go on board with someone who's on an outlap instead, because yeah, he's not actually on a lap here, is he? He's not using his battery. So yeah, we'll go look at this Mercedes. Who is the Mercedes on an outlap? It's Igor. No, Igor's not the one. It's T-Bop is the one that is coming to start his lap. As I said before, T-Bop has won Driver of the Day in one of the races already so far. And let's see what he can do. He's quite high up in the standings, is T-Bop. Just realised I have come off the standings trying to look at that. He improves on his sector 1 time slightly, which is good to see. Let's see if he can keep it on for the rest of the track as he comes onto the international pit straight. See what he does for Cops. He chooses to stay in 8th gear, and I tell you what, that is inch perfect through Cops. Little lift of the throttle, hits the apex perfectly on the inside, hits the sort of, uses the full track on the outside, and I tell you what, this is looking like a fantastic lap from T-Bop. That Maggots and Beckett's there looked really good, but he's lost time on his best lap. There'd be one to watch for in the race. If he can take the second sector as well as that, and obviously he'll have the straight after that, he'll be a hard man to overtake. And potentially we can see some moves from him in the race. I'm not sure if he's going to improve here with no battery in this final sector. He doesn't, just 1/10 off his time. Who can we watch next? There's so many people to watch. Lucky High One, 7/10 up. This is going to be one for pole position, potentially. I remember last time he had a really bad final sector. And this time, he does not. He does take pole position. Massacrator is on a lap, though. That's someone who we can watch. We're coming to the final runs of this session now. There's an Alpine who looks like the next. No, there's a Ferrari I need to watch. No, he's on an outlap. Never mind. There's an Alpine who I need to watch next. Naked Champ halfway through the lap. 1.3 seconds down. We're looking for a 1:03 over this sector line. It's not going to be good enough. He's 1.5 seconds down at his time. Igor is going to be the next man to watch, just up on his time. But Igor, this is a man who we saw fighting for the race win last week, but he is 1 second up on his time. So again, he's going to stick himself into that massive group of cars. P1 to 11, all just like a second separating these guys. Let's hope for a good final sector from Igor, hitting the apex really smoothly on Vale, taking his time, not getting any oversteer, and it's only P8. That's surprising. Red Bull next, I think, or is it Williams? P15 up to P13 for Bundes. El Truco, no, he's up on his time though. It is a Red Bull, I was right. Yeah, it's a Visa Cash App. This might be pole for Sven. What? He just said he's 4/10 up on his time, but he hasn't improved. Having that and coming across the line. Improves to P4. Can we watch Font? Font is coming towards the final sector. Massacrator didn't improve on his time either, so Lucky does take pole position. That's his first pole position of the season, unless Fontanu can dethrone him. He's not going to, but he is going to improve to P6. Titchy Boom comes across the line, and the final man out on track is Arctic Squirrel, who comes into the pits rather than completing his lap. So, Lucky High One set in his first pole position. I need to try and invite someone. There we go. Chris T has actually disconnected there. So wow, Lucky High One. Aston Martin with a front row lockout there. 127.2, 127.3 for these two. Lucky High One is second in the standings, and I tell you what, if things finish like this, he'll be 1 point ahead of Font in the standings. So we'll see if he can keep it up, and if he can finish in first place. However, there's a long way to go, isn't there? Let me see. Lucky did get pole position, so I'll stick that green font in. Anyway, 27.2 for Lucky High One. I need to take a screenshot of this because we use it to compare the tiers. An Arctic Squirrel. McLaren not having the best time in qualifying, which is not great for them. Obviously, they've been wanting to extend their gap at the top of the constructor standings, but it looks like it's an opportunity for teams like Aston Martin and Ferrari to gain. Let's get your predictions in chat, everyone. We've seen qualifying. Sweden are beating England 2-0 in the Women's Euros. What a shame. Obviously, everyone who does watch this stream week in, week out that knows that my P2 predictions tend to be tend to jinx drivers. But we'll see if that is the case this time round. In terms of my predictions, I am going to predict Massacrator to take the win here. I think Massacrator is finally going to get it in him. I think he's been practicing really hard for this race, and I think if he doesn't win this one, I don't know when it's going to come. But I do feel like I'm sounding like a broken record with the amount of times I'm predicting Massacrator to come on the podium. However, I'm going to do it once more, and if he doesn't do it this time, I'm not going to do it again. My second place prediction, I'm going to go with Lucky High One. I think Aston Martin have showed some really good pace here, and I think they can hold on for their front row lockout. And in P3, I'm going to say Sven the Man. Sven has been around the block for absolutely ages in ALR. I think Season 3 was his first season with us, and I think he can use that experience to make his way through the grid. In terms of the pit stops, we got medium hard or soft medium medium as the two predicted strategies. Let me see what kind of tyres people are on. It looks like most people are on mediums, Massacrator on the hards. I like that from him. In this tier, we have seen quite a few safety cars, which is the only way that's not going to work. But I think he doesn't need to overtake his teammate. He can just chill behind him, go longer, and then use the mediums to his advantage in the second stint. And I think that's the play for Massacrator. Just take your time. You don't need to rush anything. Just see if you can stick with your teammate on the harder compound, and then you can go for the result after that. Alright, we'll go back onto no detail. So yeah, we've actually got double Aston Martin, double Haas to start things off. That's really cool to see two of the lower teams at the front. Look at that, it's beautiful to see. It feels realistic having, you know, two teams at the front. I know it's not the two teams you normally would see. But yeah, I really like it when you see the team sort of like grouped up. Like we've got the two Mercedes in P8 and 9, two Kicks in P10 and 11, two Williams nearby. And then we do have the Visa, Red Bull, Ferrari, and normal Red Bulls who are a little bit out of sorts. But coming on to the start-finish line, parking up on track. Hopefully everyone can make sure to get on track correct this time. I'm going to have a little sip of my drink while everyone gets parked up. Anyway, it's time for the countdown. Two Aston Martins, two Haas's on the front two rows, 5 red lights, and away they go. Lucky High One with a fantastic start. Massacrator, I tell you what, he's forced Prozemu a little bit wide there, and Swen is already up to P3. I don't know how he's done that or where he's come from, but here he is. Halanan P4, Prozemu P5, Fontanu looking feisty on that one. Looks like there's loads of changes further back. I know we had two Kicks and two Mercedes together. There's now one Kick all the way back in P17, but T-Bop has got a bit of a gap behind, in front of him, sorry, as we've got 4 drivers. There's a Kick, I think it's Luke Boost damaging his front wing there. Let's go on board with the front battle though. We've got Fontanu holding off Prozemu, getting past Prozemu. T-Bop already closed in this gap. Is he going to have a look on the Haas? No, he's not. He's going to hold back, which I think is really good to see. Swen the men going massively wide. That's going to get some dirt on his tyres and probably going to give him a warning as well. Prezemu's actually got past Fontanu as well there. I'm not sure how that's happened. I think Font must have gone really wide. AJ14, not sure what's happened to him, but unfortunately he's fallen down off the back. Swen the men looking for a move on Massacrator. Obviously Massacrator on the harder compound. Swen's going to need to make this work right now. This is the thing that Massacrator didn't want, is he wanted to stick with his teammate. But it's a really nice move from Swen, using that experience to go around the outside of Stowe, which is fantastic to see. Massacrator sticking his nose in there instead of leaving the position where he'd lost it. Look at the view. You see all the cars really close behind each other. Lucky High One starting to build a little bit of a gap now ahead, with Swen behind him. We've gone on board with Halanan as he's trying to size up an opportunity on Massacrator, who, as we mentioned, is on the hard compound tyres, but gets an absolutely stunning exit there. Why has he got DRS open on lap 2? Is that a change that's been made? I've heard DRS gets enabled on lap 3. Or is that like a new F1 change? Because I do not watch F1 anymore, really. So, yeah, it might have been changed. Anyway, Fontanu in P6, the championship leader. Not really making a gain on anyone, but Massacrator is looking quick here, even on these hard compound tyres, as Swen is ruining the front row Aston Martin party here. Looking for a switch back through Chapel. That's not going to happen. He does go wide as a result, and that's going to give Halanan a chance to make a move using all of his ERS down to Stowe. Gets down the inside, and it's a little bit of contact there. That gives Prozemu a chance to have a look, but I think he's going to leave it for another day with his teammate. Any moves into Vale? Doesn't look like it. It's a popular move on the F1 circuit into Vale, but it doesn't look like anyone's going for it today. Chris T has dropped quite a few positions here. Not sure what happened to him. Naked Champ, P15, Black Charizard 16th, Arctic Scroll 17th. AJ has made the move past Mike, who is in a lowly 19th place. But Lucky High One starting to build a little bit of a gap, as we can see. No other cars within the picture, as we've got the beautiful Helicam. Great view. I really don't want to switch off this driver. I love it when we get the helicopter cam. Two horses are very close together though, as we just see Lucky just managing those tyres. Silverstone's a very high wear circuit. I know everyone's trying to make the one-stop work, but if they push too hard, they might not be able to make them last. It looks like Prezemu could be in for an opportunity on his teammate, but he's going to wait as we look at Lucky through Maggots and Beckett's. We will go on board with Halinan and Prezemu just to see if any moves get done here. This is the bit where the medium compound tires will have the biggest advantage over the hards through the fast left-right corners, and you can just see the amount of time Halinan is gaining on Mass Creator through there. But he's not going to get any moves. Speaking of someone who might get a move, we've got Titchy Boom moving to the outside on Igor. I'll tell you what, Bunders almost went for the move there. No one's going to make a move down into Vale. And it's all as you are, as you see these four cars separated by absolutely nothing. T-Bop making a move on Mighty Jump, and it looks like Luke will also make that move side by side. Mighty Jump touching the gravel on the exit there as he falls in behind. It drops down to P13. I'm not sure what happened to T-Bop because he was actually quite high up at some point. Mike, what's happening to Mike? I don't know. It looks like he's been for a trip into the sand though. Not going to be a move this time round. We're going to go back to this fight though, because Bundes is very close, as we see him and his teammate following each other through. There is a... Who was that going wide? I think it was Mighty Jump going wide, looking for a move on Luke Boost, but he's not going to get it done. I think he went too wide to get it done really. El Truco looking feisty on his teammate. He's doing the smart thing here. You can tell he's an experienced driver as he sits behind and waits for... Tries to wait for the straight, but he has a shocking run through cops, and he's going to lose a position to T-Bop. That was smooth. Let's just say that. AJ14 unfortunately spinning. And we've got 5 or 6 cars now right behind Fontani, who's really struggling. Igor making the move up to P6. Fontani down to P7. It looks like Luke has managed to hold his position. And look at this train we've got now following Fontani. Choo choo. All the way down to Stowe from Vale. It's absolutely fantastic. Look at it on the map as well, as we've got this 4-second gap, which has built up now to Igor, obviously, who's just made the move on Fontani. Prezemu doing well here though, holding on to this, as these front 5 really could do with a clean race here. No safety car, and yeah, worst points you're getting here is 10, because they've already built a 4-second gap in just 4 completed laps. Obviously we're on to lap 5, but we're only right at the start of that lap, so yeah, it's effectively 4 seconds that they've built in 4 laps. It doesn't look like anyone is making a move further back onto the short straight. However, Prezemu getting close once again, but obviously you don't want to make a move into cops. It's really, you've got to be right alongside if you're going to give it a go. If you haven't, you just can't lunge into cops. Titchy Boom, however, has made a move on Fontanu into cops, and Bundes has followed him through before we make our way to Maggots and Beckett's. What's up with Fontanu today? I didn't even predict him P2. I told him I was gonna. Maybe that's all that matters in terms of the G's. He's lost his front wing. Fontanu's lost his front end plate there. He's lost both end plates. No wonder he's dropping down like a rock on this lap. He's gonna come into the pits surely. Nearly chopping off Mighty Jump's wing as well. Do not get yourself 10 seconds as he makes the walk of shame into the pits. Let's go up to Prezemu in P5. Not going to be close enough, I don't think, to make a move here. We're going to have to go back to T-Bop, because T-Bop, we know, was really quick through the first 2 sectors of the circuit from qualifying. Just really struggled with that sector 3. doesn't look like anyone's gonna get a move done here. It's all very like as you are with these front five, which to be honest is all they need to do right now. They've built such a gap that they can afford to just relax next to each other. And again, they've built out another second that lap over Igor. The gap now sits at 5.2 seconds. And I tell you what, Lucky High-One is going to be in a fantastic position after this race if he does win it. He's 7 points off the title, but Fontanu is in last. Let that sink in. We've got the championship leader in last place. We've got P2 in first. And I think Titchy Boom is third, I believe, in the standings. And he's also in P7. So yeah, Hallinan actually makes the move on Massacrator. I literally was not paying attention to that. I didn't think we were going to see a move there. I thought Bundes and T-Bop was the most likely move, as Bundes goes very wide and Massacrator with a 3-second time penalty already. Did I predict Massacrator P2? I don't think I did. I think I predicted him to win, because I think I said Lucky P2, and it looks like Lucky is going to be the man to defeat the P2 Jinx. That's the thing with Massacrator. He has all the pace in the world, but just can't put the laps together. And just doesn't seem to have the racecraft in the race to graft out results. Like, it's all well and good being the fastest car on one lap pace, but you have to know when to make your moves, when to sit behind, where to place your car to get the move done, as he, again, goes wide there and allows Hallinan back up. Like, it's a very much a rookie season. What is Mike doing? Why is he just parked on the track? It's a little bit fishy, that did. Obviously, Mike's teammate, Pantani, well off the back. And we've just seen Mike was just parked on the circuit. Not sure why, but Hallinan and Fanta and Massacrator is a much more entertaining battle to watch. Let's just say that. Massacrator trying to hold it round the outside. Hallinan is going to stay with him. Obviously, we know Massacrator does have the mediums to go onto in the final stint, which is going to be really big for his performance, for his race result as well. Because he's doing well on these hard tyres. I just feel like that 3-second penalty is going to be costly for him. Let's have a look if Hallinan can get another move done. Trying to get a good exit, but we've seen time in, time out, he just can't get the exit there on that corner. And I'm sure Prezamu's going to get the move done here. If I'm Hallinan, I wouldn't fight this too much. I'd let my teammate go and go after Massacrator, but it doesn't look like he is. He looks like he's going to stay in behind in P5. Prezamu will be kicking himself here. Just can't get that move done because he does have the pace. He just, yeah, he's really struggling to make the move. Anyway, let's look how this train's doing. T-Bob has made his way to the front of the train. This is what I like to see. He's been one of the guys who I didn't expect too much from T. Morrison at the start of the season, as his teammate is falling all the way down. He was up in P6 at the top of this pack, and he's dropped all the way down to P12. Prezamu does get past Hallinan here, but it looks like Chris T might also be making a move. What is this? It's like 2 lanes of traffic. Chris T does make the move on Igor. It's great to see. Igor might be coming into the pits, I feel like he is. I think he must have damage. And it looks like Mighty Chump is also coming in for the undercut. I'm guessing those two might be going for a 2-stop to be pitting this early. Like, I don't think it's time to pit if you're trying to hold at 4 for the 1-stopper. Titch Boom's very close up here though to T-Bop up ahead. The gaps have sort of split out a little bit. You can see on the straight. I'm trying to think what this little straight's called, but I can't think what it's called. But you can see the gaps are a little bit bigger in the group up ahead than they are in this one. Both Mighty Chump and Igor coming out of the pits now. It looks like Font is going to be ahead of them. potentially. It's going to be very tight between Igor and Font. It is Igor who stays out just ahead, so Mike. What's he doing? Why is it yellow flag again? 4 seconds. Oh my god. Okay. Where can we watch? We can watch the Naked Champ. This whole battle has started to spread out. I mean, this is like, I say it's starting to spread out. You still got 6 cars here, separated by absolutely nothing. Naked Champ does make the move on Bundes. El Truco making the move on Black Charizard as well. Is Charizard going to look down the outside? He does not. And Chris T up in P11 as well. These guys have all got their wings as well, which is something important to note. Obviously, Fontani is probably going to be lapping quicker than these guys right now, but such is the case that as long as they don't have to have a wing change, they might still get out ahead of Fontani, which is just sort of one thing to keep an eye on, just for reference. 10-second penalty for speed in the hit lane for Igor. He's had to pit on back-to-back laps, and he's retired from the session. Oh, what's happened there? I think he's just rage quit, which is not good to see. Let's see what happens here. Just because there's been so many yellow flags in this situation. He's just stamping on the throttle far too soon, that's all it is. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, because there is some people in the chat suggesting that there might be a bit of untoward tactics going on. But yeah, we'll pay attention to it and see if it is the case, or if it is just someone struggling with the traction control. No move here for Halanan. I think Swen's just jumped into the pits. He has. Interesting. 4-second gap to Lucky at the time when he jumped in. We'll see where he comes out. I think he'll come out behind this battle, as Bundes also comes into the pits, and so does Arctic Squirrel, I believe. I think that is the last car that's jumped in. Yellow flags again. Every lap we're getting yellow flags on track at the back of the pack. Titchy has built a little bit of a gap now, but he does have a 3-second time penalty. Luke Boos, mighty jump, fastest lap. We love to see that. I'm sorry, that's class. Fantastic to see. He's gone onto soft, so he's definitely committed to a 2-stop. Fontani is on hards. I don't know if he'll make them last, but we need to go and watch this battle, because Black Charizard out of left field down the international straight has made a move on El Truco and takes a much better line through cops as well, and that's going to make him safe for the main straight. We'll see if Lucky comes in now to cover off Swen the Men. He doesn't. He stays out. So I wonder if that's a difference of strategies between these two guys. 2 Red Bulls, both into the points now. They've not had the best of seasons. Prezemu with 10 seconds for speed in the pit lane. I find it so frustrating when people do that. I know I keep banging on about it, but it's absolutely ruining your lap. Titchibu as well. I didn't expect that from him. Naked Champ stays out. Chris T coming in, making sure not to do that himself. And that's really shaken things up now. Swen is in P12 after pitting. 4 seconds off the back of El Truco, who does come into the pits. So my point that I was going to make about it being touch and go if Lucky come out ahead of El Truco does not really matter. Mike Sands getting a 3-second time penalty, but the closest battle on track here is Bundes. Coming up to... And actually, we need to see where Bundes comes out in relation to all these guys. Look at the undercut there. 2-second undercut on Chris T. And I'll tell you what, that might mean that we see Swen the Men come out ahead of Lucky. just based on that undercut, it looks like Font is going to try and move down the inside of Luke. He is. Mighty brakes far too late. Breaks his front wing on the back of Fontani. I think I've just seen more yellow flags out on that final straight. I'll just try to ignore it from here on. That's a shame for Mighty. He was really doing well with his soft compound tyre, setting fastest laps, and now he's going to drop like a rock. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Bundes, I want to try and get this move done here, knowing that Mighty has no front wing, or at least a damaged front wing. He's not going to get it done though, unfortunately. Couldn't quite get enough room, but we need to go on board with Sven and the men soon. We'll see if Bundes can get the move done here. He's going to get it done, it looks like. He is. And now we'll go on board with Sven and see where Sven comes out in relation to Lucky. And I think Lucky's already out. So despite Sven pitting sooner, he's only gained 2 seconds on Lucky. Hallinan comes out ahead of his teammate, and his teammate has a 10-second penalty, so he basically needs a safety car, because otherwise he doesn't drop back behind T-Bop and so on. There's another yellow flag here, as Mike is facing backwards again. I don't know how he's done that, but yeah. Frazemu, is he going to make the move on his teammate? I tell you what, we need to watch this battle back here. Font is in the mix of this fight now. We've got AJ who's made his way up to P8 after his disaster start where he was miles off the back of the grid, but I don't know if he would have pitted just yet. Frazemu has made the move on Hallinan. Lucky has also made the move on Black Charizard. And that's going to be a warning for Luke there, I think. But let's see if he can get a good exit out of Chapel. Into Maggots, into Beckett's. Down to 50 for Chapel. Not quite the exit you want, is it? AJ up ahead is probably going to be giving Font DRS as well. I think he looks like he's on old tyres as well, AJ. Doesn't quite have the grip in the corners as he comes into the pits now, so yeah, that's our suspicions confirmed there. And he gets a 10-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, of course, because everyone loves to do that, and I'm going to complain to them after the race, but that's besides the point. So that does unleash Font now. We saw in the first stint, he couldn't really keep up with the guys ahead. However, now we're on the hard tyres, and he might have a better job with these. Obviously, he'll have got his tyres warmed up by now, whereas the other guys will still be warming up their tyres. Luke is also on the hards. Okay, I wasn't sure when I was looking at his car there. Really good exit though. Such a nice line from Luke as well, as he feeds out wide and cuts back in. Fun getting some oversteer on the exit there. Still with a fantastic exit, even with that oversteer. We're going to look at Sven the Men, who I believe should be getting this move done on Black Charizard. And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get it done now, I mean, it doesn't matter because he does get it done now. Masquerade comes into the pits. We'll see where he comes out. But Luke Boos on the rear wing of Fontani with Naked Champ and Bundes right behind him. Is he going to get a good exit to get this move done? It looks like he's gaining like crazy here, and he ducks to the inside and gets that move done into Stowe. So Fontani back down to P9. Looks like Massacrator will probably come out in this gap between P6 and P7, between Hallinan and T-Bop, I would imagine anyway. Oh my god, no! He's out ahead of Frazemu and Hallinan. That is going to be huge for his race. He's got 10 laps now on the medium compound to try and gain 6 seconds on Sven the Men, and in fact it's going to have to be 9 seconds on Sven the Men because of his 3-second time penalty, as we've got a Ferrari facing the wrong way. Yet again, bringing out yellow flags. However, Lucky High One has managed this race to perfection so far, 2.5 seconds ahead of Sven the Men. And I'll tell you what, I've got all 3 podium drivers right at this point in time. Let's hope that doesn't change. Sven the Men P2, Masquerade P3, Frazemu P4, but that 10-second time penalty is an absolute killer. Hallinan P5 will capitalise from that potentially from probably won't from Masquerade's penalty because of the tyre difference. T-Bop will be trying to stay within 10 seconds of Presemi for sure to try and get P5. Luke Boost, obviously, he can see T-Bop in the distance to try to chase after him. Fontaine, who looks like damage limitation for him, this just doesn't seem like the circuit for him today. Saying that he has just improved on his best lap so far, but Lucky sets fastest lap of the race. I'm sure Masquerade will improve on that at some point. Naked Champ, P9, inner points. I think that's what he's after here, with Blendez in P10 as well, just behind him, trying to get himself involved in this battle. He is in DRS though, but moves like that is not going to help his cause because he doesn't want to risk getting a time penalty for extending track limits, which might be the case if he keeps up with that one. Tichibu P11, but he does have a 10-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, which, you know my thoughts on that. Christie, P12, El Truco, P13. Right on the back of him is Arctic Squirrel, who I believe has a 3-second time penalty for extending track limits. Black Charizard in P15 in the slipstream of Arctic Squirrel. I tell you what, Arctic Squirrel's the one who's more likely to make the move there. AJ, tough one for him today after the disappointment of the disconnection last time round. Mighty Chump did have fastest lap for a while, broke his wing and finds himself down in P17, and it's been nothing short of a nightmare from Mike Sands. But we will go on board with the championship leader, Fontanu. Well, I say championship leader, he's not going to be the championship leader for much longer, with Lucky High One in P1. It just looks a bit samey here, you know, this gap just isn't moving, is it? Can't really get close enough to each other under 30. Yeah, Luke made the move on front a couple laps ago. Naked Champ is getting close. Now I've said that though, Lucky High One did set the fastest lap, swiftly beaten by his teammate in the other Aston Martin. Thank you, Chris C, for the comment. That's nice to see. We do stream on F1, Gran Turismo, and Assetto Corsa gameplay. This is tier 2 of our F1 leagues, and we do run WRC leagues as well, but unfortunately there's not really much we can do in terms of streaming that content. It looks like Hallinan might be looking for a move on his teammate here though. Obviously Presemi with that 10-second penalty, and Hallinan's actually at the purple first sector then. I don't know if that's a really good first sector from him, or whether it's a setup thing with Massacrator. Mike is spun. Sorry, we'll go back on board with Hallinan. Yeah, I don't know if that's like a setup difference, or if he's just set a really good first sector, but he's actually lost DRS. I think he might have got back inside it there, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Yeah, he is 2 tenths off on his personal best. Hallinan, obviously with 2 pretty good results in the past 2 weeks, he is in P5 in the standings, so it'll be probably a net loss, to be honest. He's got Swen the Men behind him in the standings, and we've got another, I think this is just Mike just pulling off to the side of the track, letting everyone past him, just to try and not cause an incident. It looks like there is a move. No, it's Fontanu coming into the pits. Never mind, I was going to say, looks like we finally got a move in that gaggle of cars that we saw together. However, Naked Champ is right on the back of Luke. Fontanu was obviously in between these two. But whatever has happened with Font's pit stop, Naked Champ has managed to come right onto the back of Luke. Naked Champ is, where is he in the standings? I can't actually see his name. There he is, P13, P6 last week for Naked Champ. So it would be second points finish in a row. Didn't finish in round 2 or round 1, so some swift improvement for him. Hit of oversteer from Luke. It looked like they're on the exit, but I tell you what, the guys who are getting oversteer on exit there really seem to get a better exit. I don't know whether it's like just being on the limit of traction in these cars, but yeah, whenever we see like a slight bit of oversteer on that exit, they always seem to hold position comfortably down into cops. Looks like a really nice wide line through Chapel there for Naked Champ, and he'll have a really good opportunity now in the slipstream. He does go down the inside And it's up into P7 for the Alpine driver. Luke dropping down to P8. Obviously, Luke, race 1 winner. Fontanu won race 2, and Lucky High one run race 3. And it might be back-to-back wings for Lucky as he's building that gap to Sven the Men ever so slightly, up to 4.2 seconds now. Massacrator slowly gaining on Sven. We will go back to that battle as soon as he gets into the DRS. Speaking of DRS, Halanan just sitting in his teammates' DRS. Don't think he's gonna go for a move though, to be honest. He's too far back from Massacrator. He's not going to get the move done on the worst compounds. And his teammate has a 10-second penalty, so all he has to do is just sit here, let his teammate try and control the pace, and try and build that 10-second gap to T-Bop to solidify a P4 and P5 for the team, which would be a really good result for Haas. Obviously, they're a team who looks really strong in the constructor standings. Hasn't really gone their way so far this season, more due to absences and people not being available rather than pace issues. Obviously, 2 P6s and P4 have been their best results this season. And we've got another yellow flag. Is that Fontanu this time? No, it's got to be Mike. We'll see, actually, because these two are coming up. No, we can't. Unfortunately, Mike's just round the corner, and oh my, what the... He's just teleported back, I swear, there. I'm so confused about what's going on. I can see Arctic is really closing in on Bundes, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make the move. You can see they're coming through Stowe now on the map. But yeah, I think this is the battle that we'll stick with for now. Massacrator actually has finally got into DRS of Sven the Men. Mike letting more cars back through. It's getting a bit ridiculous, to be honest. He needs to try and keep his car in a straight line, and obviously he's nowhere near scoring points. He just needs to take his time and just not bring out yellow flags, because it could cause other drivers to get penalties, you know, overtaking on the yellow flags and things like that. However, Massacrator on the medium tyres. Let's go on board for Magnussen Beckett. This is somewhere where he did struggle in the first stint, but I think that was more because he was on the harder compound. Really poor exit from Chapel. You can just see he's getting such a narrow line into that corner, whereas Sven has really stuck left through Beckett's and then maximised his exit. However, Massacrate is nearly going to get the move done. I know he said he was running really low wings here, which will help his tyre wear, and it will help his straight line speed on this game. Taking so much curb there, I don't think he needed to do that really. But he is in the slipstream of Sven. He's going to have to get this move done quickly if he's going to build up a 3-second gap though. But we could be seeing his first podium of his ALR career, I believe, for Massacrator. I don't think he's managed one beforehand. And I think, yeah, it will be the first double podium of the season for a team as well, which would be really good to see. More yellow flags on track, but fortunately not at this part of the circuit, as Massacrator does go down the inside, does hit the apex, and surely does get the move done. Sven fighting back. Massacrator holds it round the outside though, round the outside of Luffield, down the international pit straight, and he will surely try and drive away. He's got 5 laps to try and gain 3 seconds on Sven the Men in terms of his penalty. I don't know if he'll do that with his tyres starting to wear out a little. Let's go and watch this battle back here. Where is it? Not that one. This one. No, this one. Never mind, the battle's finished. It's now a bigger gap than before. We will watch this one. I think this is the one with the closest battle on track. Obviously Sven is on the harder compound tyres, so I doubt he will be he'll be fighting his way back past Massacrator. Maybe one to look into if he sticks with him, because obviously Massacrator on the softer compound tyres, they might start to wear off a bit quicker. However, Naked Champ obviously made the move on Luke a few laps ago. I think Mike has retired from the session in the pits now, as we've got yellow flags out here. Big slide from Luke there. Looks away onto the mini-map, and I look back and Luke's absolutely sideways. I need to check these penalties because I don't know if it's Tichy or Arctic who has the big penalty. Bundes and Naked Champ are the big winners so far this race. Naked Champ up 7 places, Bundes up 4. What was that? Is that fun? I don't know what was going on there. Everyone on hards, and actually we need to watch this move because Titchy Boom is up the inside of Bundes. Bundes trying to switch back. Not going to get it though into left field as Titchy Boom. Really, really good defensive drive in there, holding up on the apex just to not allow Bundes in, and he's going to hold the position down to Stowe. This is what I wanted to look at. It is 13 seconds for Tichy Boom. That's going to be an absolute killer, especially in a race where not many people are getting penalties. But yeah, just thought I'd have a look at that. So, going to be painful for the guy who's in 3rd place in the standings, Tichy Boom. It's going to drop him out of the points, and he's probably going to lose a few positions in the standings because of that. Definitely, well, actually, no, he won't lose place to Luke. Luke not getting enough points to overtake him. He won't lose a place to Hallinan in P5, and he won't lose a place to Swen. So actually, Titchy Boom's not going to lose any places. He's still going to be P3 after this race. Even without scoring points, he's just going to be an absolute mile off 1st and 2nd place. He's going to be 13 points off Fonsanu, who's not going to gain any, and he's going to be, what, about 30 points off Lucky if he does manage to hold on for the win. Swen hasn't really dropped off like we expected. And I'll tell you what, on the other straight, we've got Bundes back in the slipstream of Titch Boom. I know there's a lot of penalties that have to come off Titch Boom's race time at the end of the race, but these guys still do love to win the race on circuit. And get that little bit of pride for, you know, winning it on track as well as winning it on the standings board. Doesn't look like it's going to happen for Bundes here. Prezemu and Hallinan, oh, I've gone the wrong way up the leaderboard. Neck and neck here into Vale. They have made the switch, which will be really helpful for us trying to see the gap between T-Bob and Prezemu, to see if Prezemu can hold on to that P5, which, I mean, Hallinan's going to have to get a move on if he does, because this is an 8.9 second gap. He's got 3 laps, to try and gain a second on the Mercedes driver behind. Sven the Men, P3, will go net P2 once all the adjustments happen. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what Prezemu's thinking here. Obviously, I think having his teammate pull him along for DRS will be helpful, but if he's holding him up, it's going to be the worst thing for him right now. I mean, if I'm Hallinan here, I'd probably try to let my teammate through at some point, because obviously he's got no penalties, but I guess the thing he's thinking is, does Masquerator have 6 seconds of penalties? Does he have 9 seconds of penalties? You don't know how many Masquerator has. He'll just see that Masquerator does have a penalty, I believe. Bundes and Tichy still going at it though. Just 4 tenths separating those guys, and Hallinan does let Prezemu past. It's almost as if he was listening to the stream there, which he actually might have been doing. I didn't realise that. Because yeah, he just let his teammate past to try and push on, giving him DRS and then pulled out of the way, which is really good team play there for the constructors standings. Swen surely gonna get P2 now. It's no less than he deserves, and Bundes has lost a little bit of time to Titchy Boom, so there's not really any battles for us to watch on track. And to be honest, I think there's one man who has not been featured on the camera at all, and I think we should probably try and watch him across the line at some point, and that's the man in P1, Lucky High One. So I think if Bundes doesn't get close enough here on this penultimate lap, I think we'll have to go ahead and give Lucky the screen time he deserves. Hasn't put her foot wrong this race, and he's going to be taking home pole position and the race victory, which would be just the second time this season, and he'll be just the first person to have a double victory as well. But it isn't going to be close enough. We'll watch him up to Stowe to see if he gets close enough in there, in the middle sector. In terms of next week's race, we are moving to Zandvoort next, so completely different circuit. We'll see who can adapt best to that. This is going to be Christie's first points of the season as well, which is big. I really like to see that. Christie obviously been around for absolutely ages, as I mentioned before. He's just 1 second out of the points, but we know Tichibum has that 13-second penalty, and I think Prezemu has managed to pull out that 10-second gap to T-Bop. T-Bop will need a lightning quick final lap. We're going to move off Bundes now, because obviously that's not for position. We've got Arctic Squirrel spinning out of Chapel. And it's time to watch Lucky Highwan. I think the performance this man has put in has been nothing short of perfection. He has... Sorry, I was just looking at the leaderboard. Just how I've said, Prezemu is out of that 10-second window. T-Bop has got back just with inside it, so that's one that we're going to have to go look at some point. However, coming into the final half of the final lap, Lucky Highwan through Maggots and Beckett. As I was saying, this man hasn't put a foot wrong, hasn't got a penalty. Chose the perfect strategy, built out a couple second gap in the first sector, and Massacre has just spun. And he's going to potentially lose that podium position. Lucky into Vale, potentially, well, not even potentially, coming home for back-to-back wins to take the championship lead. Here he is, round the final corner, and it's an incredible performance for Lucky Highwan. Sven the Men deservedly coming home in P2, sorry. Didn't quite have the pace to keep up. This is the one we want to see. Does Hallinan snatch P3 away from Massacre? He does. T-Bop 9.8 off the back of Prezemu. Is he... I tell you what, Prezemu could lose 2 positions here. He loses just 1 in the end. Naked Champ 2/10 behind. Luke Boost will come home in P8. Tichibum will come across the line in P9. He'll drop quite a way down though. Bundes effectively P9. Or promoted to P9, sorry. The Red Bulls come in P10 and 11. Tichy will be P12 with Truco in P13. Championship leader Fontanu not scoring any points. And with his rival winning the race, it's gonna leave a big gap in the Tier 2 title fight. AJ, P15 in back-to-back weeks. He is on for his best lap of the race so far. Can he do it? Not quite. And Mighty Chump, with half a front wing, comes home in P16 for the Visa Red Bull Cash App fake Red Bull team. And that's where we are. Your updated standings will be Lucky in P1, Font in P2, Tichy in P3 in terms of the championship. I think Aston Martin will have taken the lead in the standings with their P1 and P4 this week. But we'll have to see. And as I said, next week will be Zandvoort. Quite a few drivers home races. Sven the Men, obviously Dutch. Luke Boost, Dutch. El Truco is a Dutch driver. And Bundes 1 is also a Dutch driver. So we've got 4 guys who have their home race next week. Be interesting to see if any of those guys can win it. Obviously Luke is one of our 3 winners out of the first 4 races. Sven has had 2 P2s in his 2 races that he's attended. Driver of the day, it's given it to Naked Champ. I'm sorry, I'm going to overrule you game, and I think it's got to be Lucky Highwan, sorry. P1 in qualifying, P1 in the race, didn't put a foot wrong. I can't give it to anyone other, I'm sorry. Massacre did take the fastest lap, however, that's not worth any points anymore. Hallinan gets his first podium of the season in P4. That will increase, that will bump Massacre up the standings quite a bit actually from P14. P4 is his best result of the season so far, and actually more points than he's got in his previous 3 races combined. So yeah, he'll definitely be happy with that one. In terms of the other results, we had Prezemu in P6 with his penalty, dropping him down. Naked Champ P7, Luke Boost P8, Bunders P9, Chris T with his first points of the season in P10, and actually Red Bull's, no, sorry, not Red Bull's first points of the season. Black Charizard has got 5 points, so that's incorrect. The big talking point, obviously, Fontana down in P14, so we got a change in the championship leader. However, next time, round 5, as we move into the second half of the season at Zandvoort, make sure to tune in to that one. Same time next week on Thursday, 8 p.m. And obviously, check out our Discord if you are interested in joining any of our leagues that we host across our 4 games on our portfolio. So yeah, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you to all the nice comments that we saw in the chat, and I'll see you guys next week for round 5 of tier 2 at Zandvoort. Bye.